When you're talking about mRNA, let's define what that is, messenger RNA. So again, let's go back to basic genetic function. Inside the nucleus of the cell houses the DNA. The DNA is sort of unraveled or unwrapped when there is a signal from the outside world needing a recipe, right? So the DNA houses your unique recipes. And again, our genes are all different unless we're identical twins, but still there's change in the expression of them. But the bottom line is our DNA houses individual recipes for proteins and enzymes to handle the functions that we need to have for the body and handle the outside world threats, including the immune system. So the DNA, when it's needed, let's say the immune system is induced and there's some recipe that's needed for a protein to go fight a virus in this case, the DNA says, hey, I have something to do that, and it unwraps that signal, and it unwraps that recipe, and it transfers through transfer RNA or tRNA outside of the nucleus, and it goes farther out into the mRNA, the messenger RNA, to the edge of the cell called the cytosol. So the messenger RNA can begin to assemble all the recipe ingredients to make what the genes are indicating to make. When you bring in messenger RNA, as stated earlier, and it's wrapped up and hidden and cloaked in nanotechnology or lipo nanotechnology to the intent to try to hide it from the immune system, you're inserting that mRNA into your own genetic code. Now, the question becomes does it work backwards or not? Some say yes, some say no. I say I don't know, because the I don't know stops me from doing that, because once you insert that into your mRNA, there's a huge problem there, because that's not normal. It's trying to play God with our genetic code and trying to play God with our immune system. And the proponents of that kind of technology believe this, and I'm not knocking them as individual people, but they believe that they can control the immune system better than the immune system controls itself. And that inherently is a fundamental problem that I have. And the bottom line is, when you insert that, the question becomes is how long does that thing stay in mechanistic action? Or how long does it feed forward and create those spike proteins with the intent to induce the immune response? Now, the mRNA is completely different from other vaccines in the sense that it's not new technology, but it's a new rollout to this mass of vaccines with the technology. And therein lies the problem, because it's completely different than other vaccines that actually take a little bit of the virus itself and they expose you to it so that your body will respond to that from a more natural standpoint, like the influenza vaccine. This is different. You're actually not allowing the body to respond, but you're creating the unusual proteins themselves so your body will respond to them. Instead of bringing it in from the outside, you're creating it yourself on the inside. And that inherently is the fundamental flaw in the science. And I think that, as stated earlier, huge mistake. And we need to begin to rethink this from a logical standpoint. And by all means, quit trying to play God, because that's going to mean the most futile, frustrating thing. Scientists, you listening to me, you're going to have a problem in sort of playing God, because God's always going to show you he's best and he's bigger and he's better and he knows more than you do. So it's time to humble yourselves and submit yourselves to God and quit doing this, because all you're doing is hurting people and killing people.
What are the 3 biggest things you want the world to know right now?
Number one is, to just stop the damn madness and really understand that there is a God and he loves you and he created you in a special way, and he created your immune system. He made it with the same logic, the same flawless logic he used to create your human body, and your immune system is not lacking one single solitary thing. In other words, you were made perfect by the hand of God. That's number one. Number two, no human being is born with a vaccine or medication deficiency. That whole idea is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Am I knocking conventional medicine? Absolutely not. And we need conventional medicine and good practitioners for acute care situations. But that situation that we're talking about now is assuming that we're all idiots, and even God was an idiot, and he left the body inadequate in its preparation to protect itself. That doesn't make sense. That would be number 2. Number 3 is we've got to change our mindset into believing there's a pill for an ill. I'm serious about this because people are assuming that they're going to get sick. So if you're scared of COVID right now, stop it, because it doesn't make a lot of sense. I have people reach out to me literally every day and say, hey, I would like to have medication A, B, and C on hand just in case I get sick. Well, that's the problem. We believe we're going to get sick. We expect to get sick. We set our bar of expectation right here. It's mediocre. It's not an excellence. Instead of saying, I don't plan on getting sick, I'm not worried about it. You see, so number 3 is changing the mentality of a pill for an ill, a quick fix. Go to work, get yourself together, do what you got to do so you can become what you're supposed to become. Nothing in life is free. Health is not free. Go out there and live it and do it and be all you're supposed to be. Put the work in. The greatest thing that people can do is spend money and time on your health. And I'm talking physical, emotional, and spiritual. Because the money you spend on that is far, far less than the money you spend on needless procedures like a heart cath or things like that that can happen that are completely preventable. This is no different. So put those 3 things into practice, and I think you'll find that your life gets a whole lot better and a whole lot more encouraged and a whole lot more empowered, and you'll find yourself living healthy for longer without worrying about this thing called COVID or the vaccines therein.